The title of my message is Embrace Difficult. When you wake up in the morning, who said sweet? Excited about it. Embrace difficult, yeah. When you wake up in the morning and your brain's covered in fog, when you don't have motivation and you feel just like a cog in a wheel that keeps churning little bits of you out, or a fire that keeps burning in the middle of your drought, embrace difficult. When your spouse is angry because you did something wrong, or maybe even worse, you did nothing at all. When you feel blamed, when you feel shamed, when you're losing the game and there's nothing but pain, embrace difficult. When the checklist is long and you're not feeling strong, when the days fly by with a groan and a sigh, when nothing's getting done and you can't have any fun because the stress already won and now you want to run, embrace difficult. When you look at your future and all that you see is a flat desert wasteland with not even a tree, when all hope has left and God hasn't met expectations yet and you're starting to fret, embrace difficult. Difficult happens every day. Like it or not, it's here to stay. And the more we run from it, the less we learn from it. The more we compare, our feet land in a snare. And the more we complain, the more we feel pain. When we don't embrace difficult, when we run from what's hard, life turns into a treadmill, and each day we discard, as if days were worthless because in them we suffer, as if life were hopeless without ease and comfort. Hear me out. I'm not saying it's bad to have a good life or to feel glad. I'm not saying do not pursue a happy marriage or job or things good for you. I'm simply pointing out that even when you do, difficult still happens. There's still stuff to work through. So what will you do? And more importantly, why? How will you find satisfaction and live fully alive? Embrace difficult. The title of my message is Go to the Gym. Go look around, watch people who win. They face the weights, they challenge themselves. Day in and day out, they work the treadmills. They don't see benefit in day 1 or day 2. Don't be surprised if neither do you. Watch the weightlifter as he paces himself, crafting his form as he lifts the dumbbell. And go watch the runners. They don't fear a good sweat. They know running's hard. It's what they expect. The gym rats don't care if it's hard or unpleasant. That's a signal for them that it's a good investment. And sure, they could stay home, and sure, they could moan about how they're sore, or about how they feel worn down by the grind, by the payment each day, but they don't, because they know that's the only good way to reach their goal in their soul and be more from their core and be more able, more stable than they've been in their past. Make it last, foreseeing the gains in those pains, like bowling and Wayne, vision lanes, see where it's going, suffering's flowing. It takes a little longer, getting stronger, but when you get there, you'll swear the hard work was worth it. Don't forget, when you're stuck in the current, the serpent wants you to quit. Don't do it. Know that God's working when it's hurting. Know that there's a process when it's nonsense. Go work at the gym until you fit in. Be the adult. Embrace difficult. We're good. We're going to keep going, though. We're not done. The title of my message is Count It All Joy. Don't run from your calling. It's God who employs you on the earth with a task that has worth. In the Maker's hands, you can still have mirth. Knowing something, being confident of this, that he who began the good work, he will complete it. Let's repeat it. He'll complete it. Don't delete it. Don't backseat it. He's molding the clay. He's opening doors. He's moving mountains. He's making sure that his promise will stand and no circumstance will call him a liar, will take you from his hand. His hand that moved Joseph through slavery and prison, he had not forgotten God's favor was with him. His hand that saved Moses through devastating plague. His hand that moved waters when there was not a way. His hand that crushed Saul and raised David up. His hand that breaks wills and fills up my cup. His hand that raised Daniel to the highest of office and shut the mouths of lions when the liars were pompous. His hand that crushed nations when they defied his word. His hand that saved Esther without raising a sword. His hand that held children, that touched lepers and healed blindness. His hands that washed me when I did not deserve kindness. The hands that caught Peter when he fell in the sea. The same eyes of love have often caught me. These powerful hands committed and free, stripped of their strength and nailed to a tree. All for you, all for me, all to show us this one truth. With all that he is, you will be rescued. The title of my message is It's All About Him. Even when we suffer, we know that he'll win. Because when we suffer, he strengthens our faith. He makes us steadfast, immovable, brave. And let steadfastness have its perfect work, so that you'll lack nothing in heaven or on earth. So that you'll be complete, a full-grown adult, a spiritual man, a healthy result of being pushed harder than you wanted to be, and forced to stay longer than your scheming could see. To be free, you'll need a shift in your vision. Circumcision of the heart is the start, a collision. Restart your value proposition. Stop wishing for a cart of provision without submission. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is lay down your life. Hold no exception. You will not earn it. You cannot barter. It's by faith alone in grace from the Father. Unmerited, wait on it. He loves you. It's promised. Lose your life. You'll find it. Hope fully. I'm reminded of a scripture that I read, and we'll read it right now. 1 Peter 1:13. It'll show you the how. Let's put it up on the screen. This is where the props come in. 1 Peter 1:13. Therefore, preparing your mind for action and being sober-minded, set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. I don't know how many times I've read this in 1 Peter, but a few months ago, well, probably was a while ago now, I read this and it just ballooned off the page at me like I'd never seen it before. And you know what stood out to me was that word fully. Set your hope fully on the grace. And I couldn't understand, because here's the thing, before we even get into what the rest of the verse is talking about, set your hope fully? Are your hopes, gather the collective consciousness of your hopes all together into a bucket. Do they focus on one thing? Are they fully in on anything? No, it's like, I hope for this, I hope for that, I hope I have a good day, I hope this happens, I hope, the grocery store has what I need because I know that they don't have anything right now. I hope. It's all these things that we hope for. And I started realizing, God, I don't hope fully for anything. I never put myself out there that much to hope fully. And then my hopes are so spread everywhere that I could never hope fully on one thing. Hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Interesting, I was looking at this, because at first when I read this, I thought, okay, that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Like, when he comes back, his second coming. That's when he'll be revealed, and I'm hoping fully for that day, and when that day happens, we'll all be carried up to heaven with him, right? Like, I'm hoping for that. That's not really what this is saying. Hope fully on the grace, that phrase, that will be brought, it doesn't actually say that in the Greek. It's hope fully on the grace being brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. It's being brought to you. How is Jesus revealed to you if not through the gospel? Hope fully on the grace being brought to you, not just at his second coming, not just when he returns, but in the day-to-day. In the day-to-day, as the gospel plays out even in your life. Hope fully in his unmerited favor, we might substitute in for grace. The thing that you did not earn. And see, this transcends circumstance, all right? This transcends circumstance. This is beyond something happening to you or an occurrence in your life. God's favor, when he looks at you and says, you're my favorite, and you did nothing to earn that. That transcends anything that you're going through. And that gives us great joy in the middle of life's difficulties. So I want to do some examples here to kind of show us what fully looks like. Fully. So the first thing in here, I got this big old jug of water, and you can probably take a guess what I'm going to do with this glass. We're going to show what fully looks like, and we're going to kind of do it quickly because your imagination can fill in the gaps here. I don't probably even have to do this, but I'm going to. All right, so we're filling it up. We're filling it up. Hope fully. Hope fully. This is taking longer than I thought it would. And I'm spilling tons of water everywhere. This is great. All right, is that full? No. Fully. Hope fully in the grace of God. Fill up so that there's no room for anything. Fill up so that it even overflows. Oh no, here it goes. It's making a mess. Overflowing. See, sometimes that'll happen in your life when you're hoping in the grace of God. When your hope is fully in it, you're going to start overflowing with hope. It's going to start impacting the world around you. People will be in meetings with you at work and be like, dude, why are you so positive? Stop with that. You're like, no, man, I got a good life. Hope fully. Hope fully. Man, this is dripping on the rug. I hope that's okay. I didn't bring anything to clean it up. Well, here it goes. All right, so next thing here. All right, we got a clock. Hope fully. Hope fully. All right, so we're starting at, well, let's call this noon. What does fully look like? We're going to keep going. All right? 24 hours in a day, not 12. Fully. All right? Next example. Let's move this for now. All right. We got this big old bag. Unmerited favor, right? This is where we're going to put all our hopes. We're going to hope in unmerited favor or on it. So you're not going to be able to keep seeing this, but okay, there we go. All right, and I got my bag full of hopes here. What's my first hope? Oh, my first hope is for bread, for money, right? First hope is for money. God, I need you to financially provide for me. So we put our hope in getting a certain amount of money to pay our bills, which are a certain amount of cost. Or maybe we have bigger dreams than that. I need a certain amount of money so that I can see the world or do whatever it is people want to do with their money. I need money, God. Well, how about this? Instead of pegging a number on it, how about we say, hey, God, you know that I have need of things already. I know you already know. So here, I'm going to trust that you're going to show unmerited favor to me in my finances. I've made bad financial decisions. Maybe for some of you, maybe my whole life I've made bad financial decisions. My credit score is terrible. Lord Jesus, I just give you my financial situation and ask for unmerited favor. I hope in that, in spite of the fact that maybe I haven't done anything to earn or merit this. Lord Jesus, unmerited favor. And you'll be surprised that sometimes when we start trusting God with that, the challenge actually might even get harder. You go, God, I need your unmerited favor. And then suddenly something unexpected happens, and he's going, yes, I'll take care of you in that, but we're also going to work on trust right now. We're going to work on our relationship and how we perceive money and its position in our life, okay? So that's our first example. Second one, okay, another loaf of bread just because I had extra. Instacart brought us free food the other day, and I was like, okay, that's weird. So I've got a lot of loaves of bread. It says house on it. And I typed out house and I printed it, but this morning when I was thinking about, hoping for a house, it really what hit me in my heart was I think when we hope for something like this, we're hoping for a home more than a house. We're hoping for a place to belong. And if we start pursuing the place where we fit or we belong, instead of pursuing his favor and hoping in him having unmerited favor on us, we might find ourselves belonging in the wrong place. You don't want to belong in the wrong place. You want to belong where his love puts you. So God, we hope in your favor to put us in a good home. We put it in unmerited favor. All right, next item. What do we got? Okay, here's one. I'm hoping to be noticed. I'm hoping to be, for a lot of people, I want to be noticed at my job. I want to be respected by my colleagues. I want people to see the hard work I'm doing. For sometimes it could be even at your home. Maybe you do a lot of work at home and you're cleaning things and watching kids and wiping butts and it's busy and it's hard and your husband's not noticing. Okay, I say that from personal experience because I've done that. I've not noticed. But maybe you're just wanting to be noticed. Well, guess what? If you put that power in the hands of people, they're always going to let you down. You put your hope in people to notice you, they're not going to notice. Have you figured that out yet? They don't see all the time. So God, we put our hope in you. We put on hope in your favor that you see us. You're the God who sees. You're the God who sees. That comes from a story, God who sees. That's a title given to God. Hagar. So Abraham has a kid with Hagar. Hagar is not his wife, Sarah is. And Sarah's kid, Isaac, starts getting picked on by Hagar's kid. And I forget his name. Ishmael. You guys know better than me. Awesome. So Ishmael's picking on Isaac. And so Abraham ends up sending Hagar out So she's on her own with this kid. They don't have enough food or water to even live. And then God starts providing for her. And she names the place where he provides the God who sees. The God who sees. When you're all alone, when you're absolutely all alone and nobody notices what you're going through and you're suffering and you feel like you're dying even sometimes, there's a God who sees right where you are. Next one here. Got a can of beans, or is it a can of kids? Can of kids. We all have hopes for our kids, don't we? We all have hopes that they'll be or do something. God has hopes for them too. Do you know that? He has dreams. Let's take our hand a little bit off the wheel there and say, hey, God, I'm not always going to be a perfect parent, but I trust that you're a perfect God, and I'm asking for unmerited favor in my kid's life. Put all our hopes, right? We're putting all our hopes. Oh, and I should have showed you this. This is a bag of our hopes. I didn't show you that. All right. What about a job? God, I really would just love my dream job. I really want this one job. Well, have you ever figured out, I don't know if you're like me, where you've applied for jobs and not gotten it, and you keep hoping for the next job. Oh, I'm applying, I'm interviewing, I hope for this job. Sometimes unmerited favor looks like you not getting the job, because if you got the job, you'd be miserable, right? So we don't put our hope in getting the job. We put our hope in a God who takes care of us. Sometimes, I've had this happen, getting the hard job for a season of time is what you're supposed to have. Because that's a training ground, and God knows it is, and you need that training because you're not ready for the dream job. You need that hard job first. All right, hoping for jobs, put it in the favor. All right, couple more, then we'll be done. Oh, here's another one. Hoping to be loved. It's kind of like hoping to be noticed. It's another one of those things where if you put your hope in people loving you, you can end up kind of going to places where you're not supposed to be loved and get hurt and get disappointed. Looking for love in all the wrong places, right? That can happen. It absolutely can, and it does every day. So God, we're not putting our hope to be loved in people. We're putting our hope to be loved in you because you love us even at our worst. All right, last one. Change. This buzzword change, it could mean anything. I feel stuck. I feel like I can't move. I just want something to change. Sometimes unmerited favor keeps you where you are because you're not supposed to move yet. You're not supposed to change yet. Life's supposed to be what it is. My wife will love this. I'm bringing up the Enneagram. This will be the only time I bring up the Enneagram. I don't like the Enneagram very much, but it does have benefit, I must admit. Okay, this probably is for Enneagram 7s, if you know your Enneagram, right? We want change. We want things to move. We want the next big thing. Yes, God will do that for you. He cares about you, right? Also, though, sometimes favor keeps you stuck where you are for just a season of time because you need it. It's good. It's good. All right. So we put that hope in there, all right? So this is all our hopes. They have been collected, and they are going to be cared for by the unmerited favor of God. All right, John, I need you to come on up here, the moment you've been waiting for. John Carlisle, if you would. He's going to help me with this next example. All right, we've got a bag of marshmallows here. This bag is the unmerited favor bag. It's full of God's unmerited favor. John, you're going to have to grab the mic there, I think, because we're going to have you talk a little bit. And I got to rip it open. It's fresh and new, so this is great. So I want you to say into the mic, I'm really worried, if you could.
I'm really worried.
Okay, now remember, we're going to fill you up with unmerited favor. Okay, go ahead. Say it again.
I'm really worried.
Okay, here we go.
Can I move around?
You can do what you got to do, man.
Okay. I'm really worried.
Shove it in there.
I'm really worried.
There we go. Just receive it. Just receive it.
I'm really worried.
Oh.
I'm really worried.
Oh, there it is. You got more. You got more space.
Uh-huh.
Full, right? We're going for full.
I'm really worried.
You got more room. Where are we at now? Is this like 8, 9?
I'm really worried.
Wow, no, you got, oh, that was, no, you need more grace. He's too worried. He needs more grace.
I'm really worried.
Well, one more. You just do it. Just find space. Make it happen. You know what's great? I don't have anything for him to spit this out in. It's just, I probably should have thought of that. Oh, we got this bag. You're good. Okay. Oh, you want more? Okay, we're not done yet. All right.
I'm really worried.
Here you go. One more. Get it in there. I think that's max. We're not going to have somebody throw up on stage. Here you go. Oh, maybe not. Here, take the bag. Just, you take it. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Perfect example of being full of the grace of God, right? It's really hard to be worried when you're full of God's grace. Awesome. That was great. That worked better than I thought it would. All right. Yeah. And so here's the thing about this thing, right? So we're gonna put our hopes in the grace of God, and I think sometimes when we do that, we almost propel ourselves into a place where, again, we want to be noticed by people as doing that, and that's just not the way it works. That's just not the way it works. So we're going to go here now. The title of my message is Nobody Knows. They don't see your pain. They won't see your soul. When you wake up each day and you feel horribly alone, or when your words can't say it, you just feel the groan. When it takes all you've got day in and day out, no trophies are given when you choose not to pout. Or when you do the right instead of the wrong, or go the extra mile when the day is almost gone. They won't know. They never do. Don't expect praise for fighting through. That's not our hope. There's something greater. It motivates purpose and shuts out the haters. His favor pushes us farther than we'd ever go. His favor creates desire for big overflow. His favor, His love, makes us crave something true. Creativity flows from the one who made you. His favor sets boundaries way farther out. His favor oftentimes takes the hard route. And why? Because God is extravagant and His love is adamant that every inhabitant would have a strong advocate fighting for you in the wildest ways, so that all of your days you'd see reason to praise, so that glory be given, and rightfully so, only to God, because His favor shows off to the world not just in our duties, but in the way that we do it. Here's an example that might prove it. No, literally, here it is. Right in front of you. Are you seeing how inefficient I'm being? But more importantly, do you know why all my words are coming out rhymes? Do you realize how much time it takes for each line it takes to sound fine? Do you see that if I just preached normally, you would still like me, you'd still tell me it was a good message and a high percentage would add it to my successes? If it were about me, I could make it easy, but instead I'm knee-deep in something crazy, writing, forming at 5:30 in the morning, feels like His love swarming, water pouring, His favor thwarting all that is boring, fighting off snoring, awakening, imploring, the joy from His favor steadily dwarfing, all the ease of conforming, the comfort of ignoring, the invisible God who's here to work wonders, whose love reaches out like the crack of loud thunder. See, it's easier to just be what we've seen before. It's easier to do things that can be ignored. But God didn't do that when He sent us His Son. So don't you go either trying to outrun the difficult journey He's put before you, where there's passion in your eyes and hope for breakthrough. They say that most men live in quiet desperation, meekly accepting the fate of their station. Don't embrace difficult in the way that they do. Embrace it as those convicted by truth. The truth that none of your suffering is for nothing. The truth that all of your trials lead to something. And let me ask you, what if it wasn't even for you? What if it was for your kids or for the next generation? What if your suffering leads to a legacy? And what if that legacy ends up being completely nameless and you get no credit for any of the trials you endured? Would that be worth it? That's a question that really only you can answer. This question's been answered many times over the years by men and women just like you, most of whom have not been remembered. They continue to go nameless. But we stand today in our families and in our society and in our church on the shoulders of these invisible giants who endured suffering and hardship, just like you're enduring suffering and hardship. And we don't know their name. So let me ask you this. If we don't know their name, maybe, just maybe, we can know them by your name. We can know them by Tim and Ty. We can know them by Brad and Suzanne, Cassidy, Bridget. We can know them by Rachel's name, Sam's name, Bethany's name. Because they've endured similar hardship, on their knees in prayer, hoping that something would change. They've had to endure the waiting just like you have. They had the same strength that you have living in you today. The same potential for heroic faith lives in you as it did in them. So take your stand. What if your suffering leads to a strong foundation of character in you? Or what if your suffering is training, not just for more suffering, but for gaining the strength needed to conquer a foe that you haven't seen yet, that you've yet to know? What about this story? I live in the promise, I watch over sheep, I have a great calling, but I'm losing sleep. See, a lion came to my flock today and took one of my sheep. He carried it away. He was bigger than me and stronger too. I'm just a boy, what could I do? I lay awake counting my sheep, with regret in my heart and shame over me. How is it fair that I'm stuck here alone tending to sheep when my brothers don't? It's not my fault the lion got away. He could have killed me. It was safer to stay with the rest of the flock to protect the whole lot and make sure they were not getting away. Did you lose a sheep? My father asked me. I'd like to see him fight a lion. The next day a bear came and the story was the same. He took another sheep. What a hard day. I went to my friends and asked them to pray. Can someone please ask for these beasts to go away? They prayed and they prayed, but the beasts came back. Why won't God answer? Can't he cut me some slack? This is just like the devil to steal all my sheep. God, please do something. I'm helpless and weak. Why is life so hard? Why does life bombard me without regard for the fact that I'm not armed? And why am I a shepherd if I'm anointed to be king? This isn't even my calling. God knows this ain't my thing. Weeks go by, time starts to fly, and my suffering, I am blind. An army approaches, and a man, a giant, terror rises as he speaks his defiance. The king and my brothers are scared as can be. I feel their pain. He's just like the beasts who took away sheep and took away sleep and took away me from the ease of safety. I wish I could help, but nothing's changed. I'm still the same boy who's always run away. And it makes sense, right? It's the wise thing to do. I have no place fighting a giant so huge. In truth, victims of difficulty will always be right. They'll have an excuse for why they don't fight. And the excuse will be real. It will even seem true. No one can argue with a man who's excused. The title of my message is The Giant You Face. Isn't always simple or easy to trace. See, Goliath wasn't battled in only one moment. He was battled before when the sheep were stolen. So let's run this story back and get it on track. Let's see the real David when he's under attack. I live in the promise, I watch over sheep. I have a great calling that will not come cheap. See, a lion came to my flock today and took one of my sheep. He carried it away. But no one takes from this shepherd's flock. I went after that lion and took it from his mouth. He was bigger than me and stronger too, but God is my strength and he's fiercer than you. My heart is awake guarding my sheep. No regrets in this life, no shame over me. I know every day that I'm never alone. The Lord is my shepherd. My cup overflows. I don't get caught up in what's fair and what's not because trusting in God is all that I've got. I don't make excuses when I make mistakes. I ask God for mercy and trust in his grace. I don't blame my mom or my dad or my brothers. The sheep are my job. I own it, no others. The next day a bear came and the story was the same. I broke the bear's neck. It was a good day. Yeah. It was hard and it was scary. Don't get me wrong. I asked for my friends to pray for God to make me strong. They prayed for my heart and my mind to be sharp. They prayed for real courage in the midst of what's hard. I'm learning to feel deeply through all the fear. I'm growing to trust more God's words that I hear. I don't have answers for all of life questions, but I'm learning God's love is not my invention. I don't know how I'll be made king someday, but I trust in the promise. I trust he's my way. Weeks go by, I'm learning to take flight, knowing he loves me, that I'm his delight. An army approaches, a man, a giant. A terror rises as he speaks his defiance. The king and my brothers are scared as can be, but I'm not afraid. He's just like the beasts. See, we've done this before. I've battled big things. I don't need your armor. God gave me a sling. Let me at him, king. I'll tear him apart. It ain't no thing. God gave me a head start. I play the harp, but it's more than art coming from my heart, a warrior's song, a passionate spark that leads me to battle things bigger than me, that drives me to live as a wild man, free, as smooth as can be, 5 stones and a creed, that God will keep me, that he will succeed. Bring me the giant, it's time for our fight. He looks like the lion I killed that one night. The title of this battle is Off with His Head. When God's on your side, your enemy's dead. Prep my stones, I'm seeing red. Make me like bread for the birds, Goliath said. But my God treads on the sharpest of scorpions. Historians will glory in this victory he's working in. Goliath smirking when he sees my staff, but this staff's like a prophet, a story from my past. At last, speaking out what will be it has been. It touts without words or a mouth that again, a beast in the field trying to steal sheep will fall to the ground and land in a heap. It speaks about shepherds on the most silent night. Joy to the world, the oppressor's might cannot fight the light, won't produce fright. The good shepherd's here, my height and my strength prophesy what's right, that men's power is nothing that won't win the fight. And so my staff speaks not just for now, it's the message of heaven, of a God who comes down and wars for mankind, gives hope to the blind and changes our mind, redeeming our time. The title of my message is Lean into Grace. Is there anything more prophetic than the battles you face? What greater sign than a baby's coming, than a mother in labor, a prophetic suffering? And will anything tell the world what he's done, more than you conquering by strength through his son? See, everybody wants a fresh word for their life, but who here is willing to push through the strife and find in that battle God's true word for them, his purpose and destiny and long-term vision? We can keep fishing on the wrong side if we want, but Jesus is telling us where fish can be caught. Embrace difficult. Tomorrow's Monday. You maybe forget what's been said, but my hope for your heart is that a seed's been planted and that it will grow, that you'd live more than survival. And when life gets hard, just remember the title. Put it up there. Embrace difficult. Go to the gym. Count it all joy because it's all about him. Nobody knows the giant you face, but off with his head as you lean into grace. God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for caring about us in truly wild ways. I feel like he's impressed me. Just say one more thing here. Look through the Bible stories. How often did God win battles for people? How often was it easy, though? You know what I mean? It wasn't easy. I mean, God did the miracle, don't get me wrong, but give me a story that was just like, oh yeah, it was just super easy. I mean, there might be like a couple in there, but most of the time, when God's doing stuff, it's in the middle of it being difficult. So don't be like, I'm out of God's calling or his will because life's hard. No, that's the entirety of Scripture. You're meant to be a sign to the world that there's a living God. So God, I thank you so much for everything that you've done. And I just pray that you'd continue to pour out blessing on us. Help us to endure hardship without wavering in our faith. Help us to continue to push through and lean into your grace every day, God. You're the one who saves us. You're the one who provides for us. Yeah. And you love us so much. Give us a realization of that even when things are hard. In Jesus' name, amen.